Are you a lazy game developer? Do you wake up in the morning and wonder why the fuck you were so lazy the previous day? Well, I've got a solution for you coming up. What's going on, guys? I'm Tim Ruswick from Game Dev Underground, and today we have another fantastic subject because I used to struggle with laziness a lot. In fact, I still struggle with laziness. It's still something I'm working on. And a lot of programmers are lazy. And despite what Bill Gates might say, because he has a famous quote that says, I'll always hire a lazy programmer to find the solution because they always find the easiest, less solution, right? So despite what he says, laziness is not a good thing. It's not a good trait to have. It is not something you want around in your life because it can consume your life. And the less structures you have in your life, the less routines and people that are around you and stuff that you have in your life that keeps you going and moving in a positive direction, the more laziness can impact you and actually make a negative impact in your life. So for me, laziness has caused some issues, especially when it comes to development, especially when it comes to doing things that I don't want to do. That's when my laziness kicks in the most. It's not really when I'm super inspired and super passionate about developing a game. It's more when I already passed that phase and I don't really feel it today. Maybe I just want to binge out on YouTube. Maybe I want to watch a new season of The Expanse. Maybe I want to just binge watch a whole new series on Netflix. And you get those lazy feelings, right? Like sometimes you just want to, you know, you need to do stuff, but you just end up lazy. And for me, I found that like my laziness was usually caused by avoidance. It was me avoiding the things that I had to do. It was avoiding these things that I didn't want to do. My laziness usually wasn't, hey, I'm going to be lazy today. It was usually like an anxiety, like, oh, I don't want to look at that. I just want some pleasure in my life. I want some instant gratification. I want some TV shows or some movies, or I'd go see a movie, or I'd go hang out at the beach, or do whatever. So my laziness is usually a result of avoidance. And my avoidance was usually the result of a massive scoped project. And what I mean by that is something where you can't really see the end to. You can't really see the definitive completion point. And games fall into this category a lot, unfortunately. Because a lot of the games that we make, a lot of us, when we start those games, they are beyond our current skill level, which is good, right? You want to push yourself and do things you never did before. But when you're at that stage where you are, maybe you got a little bit done, maybe you got some basics done, but you are looking ahead to the horizon and you don't see the end quite in range, you know, that can cause a little bit of laziness. It did for me. And so, like I said, the massive scope caused the avoidance, and the avoidance caused my laziness. And what I found to kind of cure this issue, I think, are two primary things. First, I talk about this in my overwhelm video, which I will link above. But whenever you feel overwhelmed like that, or in my case, when overwhelm turns to laziness, you want to break stuff into chunks, right? You want to definitively define what needs to be done, because your brain is not very good at keeping track of definitive tasks. That's actually where computers excel and the brain breaks down. We don't work well with a lot of shit in our head. So getting the shit out of your head and breaking it down into pieces, on actionable pieces, on what actually needs to get done, is really important. So you got to do that. I think that's step one to avoiding laziness, right? Like actually figuring out the specific things that you want to do. Because generally when I'm lazy, I don't have the specific things that I need to do. I just have this big, massive blob in my head of shit that I have to do, and I avoid it because I don't want to do it, right? And I don't want to go in there, and I don't want to figure all that out. But step one is to list the action items into doable pieces, right? Into sizable chunks, I would say that would take you less than 15-30 minutes each to complete. Action items, specific ones, not complete the entire engine, but complete weapon type A, complete weapon type B, finish skin for main character model. Those are action items. It's not the same thing as complete all characters in the game, right? All dialogue. That's not actionable, right? That makes me want to be more lazy. So after breaking in chunks, I think the second one is the Pomodoro Technique, which I talked about in videos before. But it's these short work sprints of essentially you want to take a deadline or a time that you have to go somewhere or something like that. Some definitive time where you have to leave or you're complete or you're done with something. I like to do it like right before lunch. Like let's say I'm going to lunch at like 12:30. My day's scheduled out like that. 11:30 is a perfect time for me to sit down and say, hey, I'm going to get this and this done. And I'm just going to sprint and work as fast as I can to get it done. Then I'll go have a break and then I can come back and do another one. And if you can do 3 or 4 of those in a day, you'll get a lot done. You'll get a lot more done than if you just work 8 hours of laziness, kind of distracted kind of work. And I found that for me to actually break things into action items and then just do these sprints where I just get little pieces done, it's actually pretty motivating. And it makes me not want to be lazy anymore because I get in the mode for it. I'm completing things. I get that little rush of dopamine for like, fuck yeah, I'm awesome. And then I feel good and I want to keep going. The hardest part about laziness is starting. Seriously, that's the hardest part. It's after you start, it gets way easier. And of course, like, you know, it's like a giant hill up to the starting point and then it's like down, but you just got to start. And I think one of the ways that you make yourself start is 1, break it into action items, and 2, sprint small pieces of it to get completed. That's how I do it. I still struggle with this. You know, it's not just a problem that I've solved, and I'm telling you, as the god of programming laziness, that I've mastered this area of my life, because I haven't. But I realize it's an issue, and I've come up with ways to combat it, because for me it kicks in especially heavy in places that things I don't want to do. Like, for example, making videos for you guys is pretty easy because it's something I like to do. Working on newer games is pretty easy because it's something I like to do. Doing boring business stuff sometimes, not so easy. Working on client stuff sometimes, not so easy. And so you just gotta figure out the pieces of it that you can do step by step, the action items, and then you just gotta sprint and you gotta start. Starting is the important part. Just commit to starting, and I think that's the main issue. So I hope that helped. Let me know in the comments below if it did, or if you have any tips on how to combat laziness, because I'd love to hear from you. Once again, I'm Tim Ruswick, and I'll see you guys next time.